Denmark is a small country north of Germany and west of Sweden. With me is the Danish Minister for Immigration and Integration, Rasmus Stoklund. He visited his German counterpart, Alexander Dobrindt. Minister Stoklund, Germany's approach now is a turnaround in migration policy, to be stricter on migration policy, something that has Denmark already done years ago. What is the main recipe you told your counterpart today?
Well, I haven't told my counterpart any recipes because Germany is doing a good work itself, and I think it's really important that Germany, as one of the biggest countries of Europe, is now sending a signal to both the rest of Europe, but also to human smugglers and to migrants considering whether to try to get into Europe, that it's not that easy anymore, and that we have strict rules and regulations, and that it will have consequences not to follow them. So I think it's an important partnership, and I'm very happy that a big country like Germany now shows some kind of inspiration for the rest of us.
But the image of Denmark is to be strict on migration policy for almost 10 years or over 10 years now. So what are you actually doing differently? Your numbers are much lower compared to Germany and also to Sweden. So what's the difference?
We have done a number of different things. First of all, we quite a long time ago realized that we wouldn't be able to maintain a high degree of social cohesion and trust in our society if we accepted migration from countries where there was too many people who ended up being unemployed and being criminal. And that was why we strengthened our regulation in a broad number of ways, which means that today it's relatively difficult to get access to live in Denmark. And for that reason, we are able to hold the numbers down. Family reunification is more difficult. You need to provide for yourself, welfare benefits are low, and so on.
So your aim is to deter migrants to come to Denmark at all, so they remain either in Germany or go on to Sweden? Is that also the deal?
No, our aim is to say that we need a new asylum system in Europe in general. That is something we've worked a lot with during our presidency in the European Union, because we think that the European asylum system in general is broken. Today it is human smugglers who are paid a lot of money by migrants with resources that control who get access to Europe. We don't think that is acceptable, and that is why we want to establish a new system where we can help a lot more people, but help them in the third world and help them close to the conflicts around the world, instead of helping a few number of relatively privileged people here in the western part of the world, or here in Europe.
Mm-hmm. You took over your post in September, and you're demanding or proposing more repatriation and more returns, even more remigration of asylum seekers and migrants from Denmark to their original countries. You are a social democrat. This sounds for German ears a little bit like far-right policies, like the Alternative for Germany here, the opposition party, is proposing. So are you actually have the same demands like the far-right here in Germany?
I don't consider it a far-right position. I consider it a very social democratic position, because we have built a welfare state that only exists because people are able to go to work and pay a lot of money in taxes. And when they pay almost half their income in taxes, they expect something from the society on the other hand, and they expect a welfare system that works, they expect hospitals that works, and a good school system, and so on. And they also expect a society that is not dominated by criminality or instability or by people who try to take advantage of it. And that is why we try to say that, well, we have this welfare model that we appreciate. We have a high degree of social cohesion and trust, and we want to maintain that. We won't accept parts of our cities where it's difficult or dangerous even to come, and we won't accept that people who arrive from the outside, they don't contribute by going to work or try to push different norms or religious behaviors that we won't accept. So we try to be relatively strict on these matters.
So remigration is one point. Another point is what is also included now in the European asylum system is to have asylum procedures directly at the borders of countries of first origin and then to return migrants immediately. Denmark tried to establish a system to have asylum procedures outside Denmark, actually, that failed. Are you still pursuing this path?
We have actually had a lot of focus on that during our presidency, because if we're able to conclude together with the other member states that we can make lists of safe third countries and we can make lists with safe countries of origin and so on, and also the ability to make return hubs, that would all in all mean that we would be able to, for instance, make a reception center, maybe with a couple of other member states of the European Union, where asylum seekers that arrived in Copenhagen, they then would be sent to, and then they would have their case handled there. And if they were allowed to have asylum, then they would be granted access to live there. But on the other hand, if they weren't, they would be sent back home. And that is what we aim to be able to establish, because right now we have a system where way too many people come to Europe, and then even though they are rejected because they don't have any ground for receiving asylum, they stay anyway, and that is just unacceptable in our view.
Tough migration measures in Denmark were also meant to keep down the rise of far-right or populist right-wing parties. You are Social Democrats. The People's Party is still rising, and in the recent elections you didn't do well actually in the communal and the local elections. So is this working? Can you keep right-wing parties low by tough migration policy?
That's a good question, but I'm not a political spectator or commentator myself. I'm a politician, and I think I should present the policies that I think are the right policies, that would the solutions that I think would be the right ones to implement, and that is our focus. That is to implement policies that we think are right for Denmark, and we think it is both right and fair to say that people who arrive in Denmark, they should be able to take care of themselves, and they should be able to contribute positively. And they should also accept that we are a small democracy where men and women are equal, and where religious norms don't play a role in our society in general. That's something you have in your private life. And that is our position, and that is not that is not altered because of opinion polls that are low or something like that.
Did the German minister somehow indicate that he wants to copy your approach? Because also in Germany the far right is rising. It's neck to neck in polls with actually the conservatives. So is he eager to get something from you, how to do it?
Oh, I won't refer from my conversations with Alexander. We've had a lot of good conversations, and we look eye to eye on a lot of matters when it comes to this issue of how to control migration and how to secure that we maintain social cohesion in our societies. And I think we agree on a lot of things, and that is also why Germany and Alexander is a very important partner for us in the work we are trying to do, also during our presidency in the European Union.
Mr. Stoklund, thank you very much for your time.
You're welcome.